Well, welcome back to the My First Rodeo podcast, the show that asks very cool, interesting, and famous people about the various firsts on their path to success. Today's a special episode, and it really follows the last episode. We got so much positive feedback on the interview that I did at Claude Stewart, but not just the interview. In the opening session, in the first segment, I had a guest host, and that was my daughter, Samantha Rose, and people enjoyed the banter between her and I so much, maybe harkens back to the early episodes where Olivia was my co-host, that folks asked for a little more Samantha Rose Fried. So you're going to get to hear me talking to Samantha Rose, and I think you're going to enjoy that. So ladies and gentlemen, this is me talking to my youngest child, Samantha Rose Fried. Samantha, welcome back to the My First Rodeo podcast.
Thank you for having me.
I'm glad to have you. So how did you enjoy your last experience, and what unfinished business do you think we left?
I don't know about unfinished business, but I like the experience. I just don't like hearing my voice after being recorded.
Yeah, that takes some getting used to, but I think you got a great voice, and I got amazing feedback on our conversation.
Wow.
It's a fun way to communicate. I highly recommend it for parents and children that are having trouble communicating. Just set up a podcast studio on your dining room table, and it sort of breaks down the barriers, doesn't it?
Yeah, I like the buttons because then it breaks the tension too.
I think what she's referring to is the soundboard has some built-in sound effects. So, like if Samantha and I were talking, and I wanted to say, then suddenly I had an idea. I don't know. That was more of a I woke up from a slumber, isn't it? Or I was remembering something from the past.
But I feel like it still works for long time ago.
Yeah. Were there any of the others you wanted to try out just for fun?
Our fans are yelling for us.
I think that's this one. Oh no.
No, they're laughing at us.
There we go. That's it's a large crowd in the studio today, and. How are you handling all the attention of the people outside?
I mean, it's a lot for me right now. I just it's like paparazzi, please go away.
Yeah, I understand. So let's get to know you a little bit. What would you like to share about you? Because I realized as I was about to ask that question that I could take it in a direction where you would make me delete this, and I don't want to do that. So what would you like to share? What would you like old people to know about people of your generation?
No, you can ask. I just won't say if I'm uncomfortable answering.
You know, it would be interesting, I think, for folks that don't have the privilege of raising a 15-year-old and are yet older, like me, is to understand the vernacular, the language, the differences. What was the one you said today? And I had no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, we had just gotten home from dinner, and I said, "Are you trying to watch a movie?" You go, "No, I'm not trying to, but if you want to, we can."
Right, because I was in the garage. I was like, am I trying to watch a movie? I'm in the garage. There's no place to watch a movie here.
I was just like, you trying to watch a movie?
You meant, would you like to watch a movie today? And instead you said, are you trying to? Which it felt very confrontational with me. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about exactly.
No, you said no, but if you want to, we can.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of them. There's cringe, which I finally figured out what that is. What's the opposite of cringe?
I don't really know. I don't like when adults ask that because I don't know, because I don't think about it as a different vernacular. Yeah. And so when other people say it, it's I don't know, what does that mean? Mm-hmm. Or sometimes I don't know. And then I'll say something and they'll be like, that's not what that means. Like the other day, what did I say? I said, I'm not going to say the word because then I don't want it to be confrontational or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's not a bad thing. And I said, and they're like, doesn't that mean something else? And we looked it up and it did have another meaning, in the Urban Dictionary or something, but that's not what I was saying it as.
Right. Yeah. Most of the words that you use, at least in casual conversation, are not going to have a Merriam-Webster's definition that's going to make sense for you.
Not at all.
Yeah. I mean, in your lifetime, your short lifetime, 15 years, there's been words that have, you're hearing for the first time as well. How does that happen? It's just one day at school, somebody says something and you're like, what does that mean? Or do you just sort of intuitively know it means good, bad, I like it, I don't like it?
Yeah, intuitively I do know. And we also at school have this thing called Membean where we it's a website where we have to do it for school where we like learn new words. I don't really know how to explain it.
You've been doing that a while, right?
Yeah, but the other thing I was going to say is like when we read Shakespeare here at school, and so sometimes that just makes no sense because like those words are just so different. But like I don't know, it just I don't. It's not like I go back and look up like what does this mean. You kind of just like figure it out, I guess. I don't know, or I just don't care enough to look it up.
Well, we've all had that experience where there's a word we've just never heard. And of course, Shakespeare's tough for all of us. But I mean, in your lifetime, whatever, the word Riz became a word. And so there was one day where it wasn't like you had to learn that word because it just hadn't come to you yet. It had just been created as a word.
I don't remember. I just probably from TikTok or something, but like I just people say that I've heard that it's short for charisma.
Right.
But like no one's going to say that like, wow, you have really good charisma. Like, I don't know. But I don't remember the moment where I was like, oh, Riz, what does that mean?
You just know, or do you fake it until you can kind of get the context?
Yeah, or like sometimes like if there's a TikTok people are talking about, that's like, oh, everyone's talking about, I'll be like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And then I'll go back and look it up, be like, oh wait, I haven't seen that.
Yeah. It's funny how, I mean, you get certain words. I remember your sister, and you've heard this story before, but she got into watching The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, the Will Smith show from back in the day, but she was watching it on reruns. And, they are the culture they are and the characters that they are. And he's from West Philadelphia, as the song goes. And he would refer to his his undergarments as his drawers. Yeah. He was wearing his drawers, when are you going to get my drawers out of the laundry? And so your sister was doing like Harkness or some sort of a conversational thing at your little fancy schmancy school that you both go to. And
she's in college.
Yeah, she's in college and certainly isn't listening to this. So we could talk about her. No, but she it was one of these things where they were like, what's a word, that describes a garment that starts with D or something about like that. And she said draws.
I don't think I've heard that story.
She thought that was and of course it is a perfectly legitimate way, but it was not in her vernacular, her little upper middle class suburb vernacular, but nor was it in the teachers or any of the kids in the class. And she had to come home and be like, I guess draws is not what
all
we
these
call
like little uppity white kids are like, what?
Yeah. So that's a fun one. I like that. And certainly some of them happen with each of my kids. There's been a moment where you learn a curse word or you say a word that you don't exactly understand the context for. And I have to tone you down. One of you learned the word douchey or douche, and I had to, which obviously has a sort of a colloquial phrase now that has nothing to do with the feminine hygiene product from which it emanates. But that was a conversation as well. So there you go. We talk about a lot, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anything else you'd like to share from a 15-year-old's perspective?
I don't know. Any questions that you think are important for like other people to know about 15-year-olds?
Maybe. I mean, you were quite young during the pandemic. You don't really have anything to compare it to because you grew up in it and all of the stuff that's come after it. How do you feel like that's impacted, sort of your childhood?
Well, when the pandemic started, I was already being homeschooled in 5th grade, so not school-wise, that didn't change very much. But like, I remember having my birthday during the pandemic, and we had like friends come over like for 15 minutes, like, or not 15 minutes, but like not very long, like at a time. It was just different, and like wearing masks, and like if anyone, I don't know how to explain it. It's just really different. I know I have nothing to compare it to that's different too, except like regular life. But it was just, I don't know. It's like something from like a sci-fi movie, if that makes any sense. Like there was no like aliens or whatever, but like it was just really different. I don't know how else to describe it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're the only 15-year-old that ever went through, your generation, your group of 15-year-olds at a certain age that experienced that. I mean, we each experienced it at our own age, but yours was what grade were you in when the pandemic started? Fifth grade, you said?
Fifth grade, yeah.
So fifth, sixth, seventh, sixth and seventh, you were back in a physical school, at least for the latter part of sixth grade, right?
Yeah, except like sixth grade, we had to wear masks and everything was, I did not like sixth grade. I think we should have just stayed home because then when you coughed or anything, you would get quarantined. But I do work like with children now and I see the effects that that it has on them, like COVID babies, like it's a real thing. Like their way of communicating and being able to communicate with other children is really different because they didn't really like that development age between like baby and 2 is very important to find the connection of talking with other people and it's hard for them because they didn't have that growing up or in those fundamental years. And so I can definitely see the effects that it has on them and then how like just getting along with other children and like there's other examples that I can't really think of, but like you can definitely really see it.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I mean, I don't see it from your eyes, but like even now, like you and I are talking and looking at each other. And I feel like that's a lost art. I mean, when you're on microphones and you're waiting to see when the person stops and starts, we're sort of collaborating right now. But I feel like a lot of times people, you and me, people at work, we are communicating, looking out instead of looking at the eyes of the other person.
No, like you may think it's rude, like other people might think it's rude, but I can't look at people in the eye. But I know adults like they need to see that out of like respect. And so like I'm looking at your mouth right now. Like, can you tell that I'm looking at your mouth?
No, my lips are tingling, but no.
But okay. But like it's the same, like I know it's like very far difference on your face. Right. That's what I always do and no one can ever tell. Like I kind of glance up at your eyes occasionally. Right. And so then you might be able to tell. Right. But like you can't really tell, but I just can't I can't just look at someone in the eyes, like staring eye contest. That makes me so uncomfortable. Like I need to like pee.
And I don't think it's about respect. I mean, some people may, but I think there is, you can learn a lot from looking at someone's eyes. So it's not so much that you owe it to them, but you miss something about what they're thinking. Are they being honest? Are they being reflective? People that are really charismatic or have riz, as the kids say, often when you ask people what it is that's charismatic about them, they'll talk about the amazing eye contact that they're capable of making and how that just made them feel like the only person in the room. And I think that's true. I think if you look at someone in the eye while you're talking to them, they do feel looked at, although maybe sometimes stared down as well.
Yeah.
What about the divisiveness in the world? I mean, you've kind of grown up in a world where politics and everything else, whether it's a result of social media, or whether social media is a reflection of the divisiveness in the world. But that's not something that I grew up in or prior generations grew up in. There were always Republicans and Democrats and people that like this issue and that issue. But the, I don't know, just the hatred or the apparent hatred of anyone who disagrees or is on the other team is just part of, how it's been since you've been around.
Yeah, well, like, I don't know, like, usually, like, this is hard to explain. I'm trying to think of, like, the right words to use without it, like, being, like, oh, so that's how that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, like, the other day, I can't say that, though.
Yeah, you feel like it's going to put you in a particular box.
Yeah, so and I don't want to be in a particular box because my viewpoints, they don't change, but they're not in one category.
Right.
I don't know, but if you don't agree with one person, then that whole thing changes.
It's like, oh, you're one of them.
Yes, and so I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't know, like kids, we don't talk about like adults, like a conversational piece like that you could talk about is like politics. But when I'm at lunch with my friends, like we don't really not really, we don't at all talk about politics, and I think that goes for most kids my age. And
in fact, I remember the moment where at your elementary school,
yeah, we weren't allowed to.
It wasn't always the rule. I mean, but all of a sudden there was a rule. You could not talk about politics. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's exactly where you should be. we used to do like model elections where you'd pick were you representing, were you Carter or Reagan or, whatever. And
you were
now,
alive then?
yes, I was. I was alive when, a kid, a baby, when Lyndon Johnson was the president.
I don't even know who that is.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
He's the president that took over when Kennedy was assassinated.
Was he the vice president?
He was the vice president who became the president.
Wait, so you were? Oh, so you weren't? Okay.
I was not alive during John F. Kennedy.
Wait, that's so weird. That seems so long ago.
I know. Isn't that crazy?
I know.
Who was the president when you were born? Do you know?
Barack Obama.
All right. Well, there you go. That's crazy. So, I think you make a really good point about you can't, and in some contexts, are not allowed to talk about politics.
Well, high school is different. They can't really tell us what we can and can't talk about because it's going to happen either way.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's just the way that it affects so many people's relationships. Like, we're all just people. Like, I don't know. Like, there's friend group, especially in my school. It's very cliquey. I think that's different from most schools because not all schools are like that. I'm sure there are some, but my school is very, very cliquey. Like, you can't, I don't know. Like, I'm friends with a lot of people, but I have my friend group, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I know. I think I know where you're going. And when you all are talking in your classes, because you do this thing called Harkness, which is really cool. If you're not familiar with it, Google it. It's really neat, where it's small groups in several classes.
No, not small groups. So it's the whole class of like, what's a class size? Like 15 to 17 people.
I thought those were pretty small. They're not?
No, they're not. They're the same size. And you're in like a circular table. It's called a Harkness table, and it's made for Harkness. And they, the teacher doesn't really lead anything. You read a chapter of a book or you read an article the night before, and you Harkness about it with your class. Like, you talk about it, argue back and forth about it.
Try to bring other people into the conversation if they're not.
Yeah,
right?
Which is, we're not very good at that, but it's good for us in our relationships to, like, people we don't talk to, like, you'd start talking to. Mm-hmm. This is like hard to explain. I don't know. It's just good to have the communications with other people you wouldn't normally talk to about things you normally wouldn't talk about, I guess.
And you do that in history, I know. And what's the other class?
English.
History and English. And so do the conversations ever lead to politics, or just things where you're like, you can sort of identify each other's, I don't know, political flavors?
Yeah, not in history really, but in English, definitely. Like, I don't remember what we were reading, but we were talking about different things. And one of the things we had talked about were like, whose fault would it be in like a school shooting, the child or the child's parents? Like, if it was like a child or even an adult, or even if it was adult, would it be that person or the parents? And you could definitely see, and we talked about guns and laws and stuff. And what was it important for? Oh, we were reading this book, A Long Way Gone. That's a really good book. I didn't read it very much, but
you understand it's a good book.
I understand.
The Spark Notes reflect that it's a good book.
It does. It is. It's about this boy, Ishmael, and he. It's a true story. He grew up in a village. And then his village got raided, and all his family got killed, and he was put into like these troops. I don't remember it very clearly, but it's and he moved to America, and it's a really good book. It's a really hard book to read. It's not hard words, like it's emotional. Yeah. And where was I going with this?
We're talking about guns.
Oh, yes. So that was why we were talking about guns, because he was using a gun. So we were trying to decide like who's, I don't remember exactly, but you could see like that person believes that and that person believes that. So, okay, you can kind of inference that person believes that and that person believes that.
I find that so interesting though, because, I don't think anybody at the age of 15 is fully formed in any way, but especially in terms of political beliefs. So picking a team, I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a Trump, I'm a Kamala Harris, I'm a, pro this, anti that. they're still so into, I'm a liberal, I'm a conservative. I don't think you all probably even fully understand those words in a sophisticated contextual way. I don't know that people my age do. And the opportunities being missed to have those conversations. But do you feel like people are coming with, a inherited sense of I'm a this because my parents are that?
Definitely in like middle school and stuff. I think now we're trying to make our own thoughts, but I actually was looking at this because we get like an email each week saying what's going on this week. And this week the juniors and the seniors, they can sign up to vote. And I was like, oh, that's interesting, because but they're gonna have to put down like
A political party.
yes. So, and they're only a year older than me, so it's, I don't know, like I guess, I mean, because we're so young, our um ideas can change very quickly. But I just thought it was interesting that, wow, like they can, like they're going to be able to vote soon. And
Mm-hmm.
like I'm going to, like, I know I'm 15, but like I'm going to be able to vote in 3 years. Like that's not that far away.
That's the next presidential election after this one.
Yeah. I mean, no, it's not.
Yeah, this one, and there'll be another one 4 years after this one.
Yeah, I guess so. It's 2026.
6.
No, 2028.
What year? Oh, 2028. Yeah, 4 years from 2024.
Yeah, it's 2025, isn't it? Why would it be 2026?
I don't know. Okay. I don't do math. I'm a lawyer and a comedian.
But yeah.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I imagine, do you feel like, well, we talked about inherited political beliefs. It's funny because I registered the opposite of my parents' party. I think that's not uncommon. For my generation, I don't want to say it was rebellious, but you did not just do something because your parents did it. Sometimes you did the opposite. Now it feels like, even though there's plenty of ways in which kids rebel and the historic ways and I'm sure new ways I don't even fully understand, but it's a lot of people rubber stamping, my parents love Trump and so I love Trump. And that's, don't you feel like that's a dynamic?
Yeah, that could be. Yeah. I feel like that's definitely part of it. But I don't know. Like, I don't agree with all things you believe. I mean, I agree with most of them because you've helped me develop my opinions, I guess. But I definitely have my own opinions, and my opinions have definitely changed. Like, I'm not going to talk about them, but
sure,
there's definitely things that you think that I don't think, and probably things I think that you don't think. And
that's great. I think that's really healthy. And yeah, I remember some aha moments. Again, I won't share them specifically, where you're like, oh, being that means this, or,
yeah, like,
specifically talking about what a liberal and a conservative
that's what I was going to say. Like, I didn't really know liberal and conservative, and I still probably don't really know it completely. But I mean, I know now enough when people say it, what it means. But I remember, like, I'd say that and you'd be like, what are you talking about? Like, that's just not what that, like, what?
Hopefully I was a little nicer.
No, but like, not like
what
that.
Are you talking about, girl?
Not that bluntly, but like.
No, just to suggest that maybe it wasn't the full context, or perhaps you had it backwards. Yeah. And there's a lot of inconsistencies between the two. And I think those are neat things to be able to develop in your formative years and thereafter. And yeah, I feel sad that you can't do that as vulnerably or as naturally. It's I don't mind, and this is sort of where we started this interview, this discussion. I don't mind saying stupid things out loud, and I don't know where I get that from, and maybe I should say less of them. But I also think being afraid to say anything for fear of sounding stupid is a really sad place to be too.
Yeah, it's like when people say like mistakes are a good thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I grew up playing drums, and one of the expressions, I don't know who said it to me, is we drummers, we make our mistakes loudly. And I think that's what I've done in so many ways. I
always remember learning that, who made the light bulb? Thomas Edison. There we go. Yeah. Found, I don't remember, like 100,000 ways. It wasn't that many, but I don't remember the number of how not to make a light bulb, and one way to make a light bulb. Yeah. And I don't know, like that always, like every time I make a mistake or losing like my confidence or running out of like determination, I always think of that from when I don't remember when I learned it. I just remember learning it. And that always has stuck with me.
I love that. And I think you shared with me, one of your teachers had said once that, I don't know if it's exactly like this, but making a mistake is just finding another way that something doesn't work gets you closer to finding the right way. Maybe that's what you just said about Thomas Edison.
That's what I was saying.
Yeah, but I forget the exact phrase, but it's a beautiful one. One thing I used to do, I don't know if you remember, when we would go, say, ice skating, when we would get there, the first thing I would do, I don't know if you knew it or not, is I don't know if I'd push you down, but I'd allow you to fall down because I didn't want you to spend the next 2 hours afraid to fall. So if you fell early on,
skating.
Oh, well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. That one worked well. Years of therapy. It was a well thought out idea, but now my daughter's afraid of ice.
Yeah, I won't go. Honestly, my friends are asking me the other day, like, "Oh, we should go ice skating in a couple of weeks, like when it gets colder." And I was like, "No, I'm not going ice skating. I absolutely hate it."
And why? You know why? My dad used to push me down.
No, honestly, I remember falling one time and I got the wind knocked out of me. And ever since then, I'm really scared. So I won't ice skate.
That one was not me. I always made sure you fell gently.
No, it was a birthday party. I remember this so clearly. It was so scary. And a dad, like my friend's dad had to help me, like was trying to help me up. And I got so mad. Like, I don't even know. Like, it was just scary because I couldn't breathe.
All right.
Yeah. So I won't ice skate or skate.
That's the worst feeling, isn't it? Having the wind knocked out of you.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do except wait.
And like, it feels like you're going to like die from suffocation.
Yeah.
Suffocation.
But you don't.
No.
And that's a good thing. And that's why we're here today.
Yep. I lived.
You did. Well, thanks for everything. Thanks for coming back. I think it's a fun conversation. I enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it?
I did enjoy it.
Did you get what you wanted out of it?
Yeah.
All right. Very good. Maybe we'll do it again sometime.
Yeah, we'll do a part 2.
Part 2, indeed. Thanks. I look forward to talking to you again soon. Good luck in your future endeavors.
Okay, I'm going to go do my homework.
Good idea. Well, there you have it. Me talking to someone much wiser than me. Certainly someone that's going to accomplish a lot more than me. And hopefully someone who I helped to contribute to putting on that path. And gosh, we learn a lot from each other. And I thought and hope that you did learn something from hearing us talk. I don't know. If you don't have perspective of what a 15-year-old thinks, I think you got to hear the heart and the mind and the intellect of a really sweet, vulnerable, cute, adorable, important one, if I do say so myself. And I think we all grow from that. I think that's where empathy comes from. And diversity is a lot of things, but it's multi-generational as well. And in my case, I get to learn from that every day. So I am grateful and I'm blessed, and I was really happy to share it with you. So I hope you enjoy this episode. Maybe you even want to share it with someone else. I hope you'll share some of the other episodes. I hope you will subscribe to the My First Rodeo podcast. Samantha reminded me that I need to tell you to follow me on social media at Freed to Laugh. That's FreedToLaugh. Freed to Laugh. And I would be grateful. Also, Freed to Run is the ultra run that I do to raise money for pediatric patients and indigent seniors who are housing insecure. So check out both of those, follow me, and come back and join us next time on the My First Rodeo podcast. My First Rodeo.